Oh, whew. Bird just tried to get my lure. Get away, get away, go. No, 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 no. All right, so let's start with the line. This was the first mistake that I made. I went straight to using braided line, and for somebody that's just starting out on a baitcaster, I would not recommend using braided line. For one really good reason is you're not going to be an expert and you are going to bird nest. I don't care how easy some people make it look like it is to get a bird's nest out using braided line. It wasn't for me. I would recommend starting off using mono, and you don't want to use too light of a test line. I would recommend using anywhere from 12 pound up to 15 or 16 pounds at the max. I would recommend sticking right in there, because one thing is for sure, you are going to bird nest, and it's a lot easier to get a bird's nest out of a mono line than it is a braided line. Uh-oh, the bird's nest really bad. I would recommend keeping a pair of tweezers with you. I don't have any with me, but I would recommend using tweezers because it can help. What you want to do, is, of course, just start pulling this line. And uh-oh. So what you want to do is you want to look down in there and see where that line is getting blocked at. And so if you've got tweezers, you can use them, or you can just kind of pinch the line that's blocking it, hold on to it, and pull it out. And there, see? You can start moving it again. And if you find another one, you just repeat the same thing. You just find out where your line is being blocked at, hold on to the line that's blocking it, and start pulling, and you'll release the bird's nest. But see how much easier it is with the mono? If you're using braided line, this ain't gonna work. I re-spooled my line probably half a dozen times with braided until I figured out, hey, this ain't working, let's try something else. So switched over to the mono, and I'm so glad I did. Now, you can switch over to braided once you get used to casting with it. But if you're just learning and you're struggling, switch over to mono. That'll make all the difference. All right, so how do you make a cast without getting hung up? Two important things to remember if you want to cast it right. You've got the line tensioner here, and you've got the brake tension here. And you don't want to forget to set either of those. So how do you set those? Well, anytime that you're getting ready to cast with the lure or something else, what you'll want to do is set your brake all the way off to the minimum. So I've got that turned down to the minimum. And then you'll want to, your tensioner, you want to turn it to where you want to tighten it up. So that whenever you press that button, that lure's not going to fall. So what you'll want to do is adjust the tension until your lure at the end slowly falls to the ground without turning this a full-time clockwise. So what you want to do is make sure your lure, when you press the button down, does not fall. And so what we're going to do is slowly adjust the tension until it starts to slowly fall. and your reel does not make one full turn. So we're going to turn this the other way and start to loosen it. And that lure is going to fall here in just a... You want to take it kind of slow. You'll start to... The lure is starting to go down a little bit. So you want to continue loosen it until you start to see your reel move. Alright. Let's bring it back up. Need to loosen it some more. Alright, so see that? It made more than one turn, so... Alright, so we're wanting to tighten it just a little bit. Slowly turn that knob. Alright, so there we go. It hit the ground, spool didn't go around more than once, so... Now the next thing that you'll want to remember, this is a mistake that I made several times, is to adjust your brake back again. I would recommend going about halfway. And as you're casting and getting a feel for it, you can turn the brake up even more, or if you're getting pretty good at it, you can loosen the brake. So I usually just kind of start about halfway until I get a feel for the lure, and I slowly adjust the brake to where it needs to be. So you want to hold your thumb on the line, just like this, and as you're casting, you just release your thumb and let it go. And it's always a good idea, at least when you're first starting, so you get used to the brake and that. But right before your lure hits the water, it wouldn't be a bad idea to stop that reel with your thumb. Alright, I need to adjust that brake a little bit more. But you can see it did not bird nest. I adjusted that brake a notch or two, cast it out, a little more smooth on that cast. It's a lighter lure, so it's not as easy to cast a lighter lure as it is a heavier lure. That's another thing that you might want to start off with to get a feel for it, is casting a heavier lure. It's a whole lot smoother to cast a heavier lure than it is a lighter lure, and this thing is pretty light.